Bandits killed divisional crime officer in Katsina's Dandume local government. Jalingo residents blame economic instability and insecurity for food price hike. NDLEA busts drug smugglers using incense candles and ladies' wear. And on the foreign scene, United States President Joe Biden pulls out of 2024 presidential race, backs Kamala Harris as Democratic nominee. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I'm Aisha Salihu. And we begin with security developments where bandits in Katsina, northwest Nigeria, have killed the police divisional crime officer for Dandume local government area, while 3 local vigilante officials sustained various degrees of gunshot injuries. The bandits, who rode on motorcycles carrying dangerous weapons, including AK-47 rifles, were on a mission to attack some locations in Dandume town and Ongowar Madogo, a farming community in the area, on Saturday night. However, security operatives, including the police, local vigilante and community corps, confronted the hoodlums and succeeded in foiling the planned attacks. Security agencies are yet to comment on the situation. And now joining us via phone is Trust TV's Abdullahi Yamadi from Katsina State. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour, Abdullahi.
Thank you very much and welcome.
I'd like for you to bring us up to speed on any new development regarding this particular incident in Dandume local government area of Katsina State.
Well, thank you very much. At first, the police command here in Katsina, just before the News Hour, has confirmed the attack in Dandume and, of course, the killing of the officer that was killed yesterday, and that is talking about the DCO. Moving forward, residents of Dandume saying they have been put on a panic mode because of the modus operandi of the bandits, saying that the bandits have changed tactics where they employed the services of some young children who are serving as their informants. They are buying phones for them, paying them between 3,000 to 5,000 naira. And of course, the children are moving from community to community, disguising as beggars, supplying information to the bandits where they can attack and have livestock, and of course monitoring the movement of security operatives in the area. And again, those that attacked the community and of course killed the DCO suspected to be foot soldiers loyal to a bandit kingpin, one Babaru, who is operating between Dandume and Sabo local government. And of course, the residents, like I said, are highlighting the importance of information generation and of course usage of information from the communities that are ravaged by these bandits' activities.
Okay. Now, so Abdullahi Yamadi, let me stop you right there. I'd like to come in here. What do you think is responsible for these members of the community giving information to these bandits? You have stated that they have changed their tactics by collecting information from members of the community. What do you think is responsible for this? I mean, this community, they know that these are bandits. How come they're giving information to them on when and where to attack? Well,
if you look at these people that are employed by the bandits to supply information, most of them are from very poor backgrounds. So I can attribute that to poverty and, of course, ignorance, because most of them are uneducated, they are illiterate. So as such, they are potential recruits to bandits and, of course, any other criminal that can use them to do whatever they want. So this is the situation, honestly.
Yeah, you have stated that the community is currently undergoing apprehension. I'd like to hear from you. You also stated earlier that the police has confirmed this incident. What other step do you think the police is willing to take just so they can find a way to nip this in the bud?
Well, when I was speaking with the police public relations officer a few minutes ago, he said the police are on the trail of the hoodlums with a view to arresting them and bringing them to book. And don't forget, this issue of information generation or generating information is very critical, because even the newly deployed AIG in charge of Zone 14, who recently addressed men and officers of Katsina Command, he highlighted the same issue of information generation, telling the officers and men of the command to devise more ways of reaching the communities that are devastated by this insecurity, at least to have some people that will be supplying information to them as the first weapon to fight insecurity in this part of the country, because it is very important. So this shows how, or rather, this shows the sophistication of these bandits. They are using the information generation from communities as the first weapon. They are using their guns as their second weapon. So this is the new tactics nowadays.
Okay. Thank you so much, Abdullahi Yamidi. That's all we can take from you at the moment. We do hope that this information generation that the bandits are taking from the community, we do hope that very soon that would stop, and then it would enable this insecurity to phase out. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour.
Thank you. We pray so. Thank you most sincerely.
Also, in Katsina State, police in Katsina State has arrested suspected informants of bandits, social miscreants, fraudsters, and criminals that specialize in stealing point of sales machines from their unsuspecting victims. The police had also arrested a 10-year-old suspected informant of bandits from Dandume local government area of Katsina State and busted a criminal gang of kidnappers for ransom in the ancient city of Katsina. Abdullahi Yamadi, once again, has more.
The command narrated how this 10-year-old child was taken to bandits by his friend Abba, now at large, to serve as their informant with the promise of 3,000 to 5,000 naira proceeds from each successful operation.
The command, in collaboration with the members of the Katsina State Community Watch Corps attached to Dansoda village in Dandume local government area of Katsina State, succeeded in arresting this teenager that you are seeing here with me. He is 13 years old, who until his arrest was residing at Sheikh Abdullahi quarters of Dandume town in Dandume local government area in connection with a suspected case of aiding and abetting armed banditry. The suspect was arrested following the receipt of intelligence on his nefarious activity, where he specializes in providing information on villages, routes, and potential targets to suspected armed bandits.
Another syndicate of informants of bandits was also busted with a successful arrest of 3 persons at Babarga village in the outskirts of Katsina metropolis, who specialized in supplying credible information to bandits to aid their operations.
The command has succeeded in arresting one Lawai Umaru, male aged 70-year-old of Babarga village in Batagara local government area, and his son one Ibrahim Lawai, male aged 22 years old, and his friend one Abdul Ghani Isa, also 22 years old, all of Babarga village in Batagara local government area of Katsina State.
In the same vein, the command also announced how its operatives successfully apprehended a syndicate of kidnappers for ransom following a tip-off at Sabur Ungwar Kofar Kaura in Katsina metropolis. A 23-year-old Sadiq Abdullahi is currently being detained in connection with the disappearance and abduction of one Isya Kalawal, and the suspects admitted to have committed the offense.
Yana bubuga musu komai yana ce suna cewa mun riga zuwa garuruwa muna dudduwa musu inda ba an banga.
I was introduced to a bandit's kingpin in the forest by a friend called Abba, who took me to the bandits' den. While there, I was threatened and asked to be supplying information about communities where there are livestock and movement of security operatives, especially within the area of operation.
Ina da wani aboki, to shi ya gaya min wannan hanyar, kuma hasali shi ya jawo ni cikin wannan hanyar.
I was lured into this unholy act by a friend who invited his victim Isya Kalawal into my room, where he mixed some substances into his drinks, removed monies, phones, and a bag from him. The victim was in my room for about 2 weeks before they evacuated him to an unknown destination. Honestly, I had wanted to report the issue, but my friend threatened to kill me if I report the issue.
Na yi ta yunkuri in je gaskiya in ga ma'aikata, to amma hakan bai sa na je na yi ba.
While parading the suspects, the Katsina Police Command, through its spokesman ASP Sadiq Aliu, advised parents and guardians to ensure proper upbringing of their children. Abdullahi Ismayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Still on security matters, Nasarawa State Police Command has arrested 4 armed robbery and a motorcycle snatcher in different parts of the state. The Command Public Relations Officer, Ramhan Nansal, made this known in a statement available to newsmen in Lafia. He said at about 3:45 hours, a distress call was received by the Divisional Police Officer, New Karu Division in Karu Local Government Area on armed robbery operation. He said the suspects attacked and disposed the residents of high-tension community of their belongings. He also explained that the police personnel swiftly mobilized and moved to the scene. While on sighting the operatives, the hoodlums took to their heels, but were given a hot chase that led to the arrest of 4 of the suspects, adding that, upon interrogation, 2 laptops, 8 mobile phones of different brands, 1 power bank, an MP3 player, 3 ATM cards, 1 Dane gun and flat screen television set, 3 flash drives, 1 cutlass, and a catapult were recovered from the suspects. Also arrested by police operatives attached to Karushi Division is a notorious motorcycle snatcher, Dandume Mujumba of Orozo of FCT Abuja. The command said the suspect has attacked unsuspecting commercial motorcyclist and snatched his Bajaj motorcycle before Nemesis caught up with him. The PPRO said the suspects have been transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department, Lafia, for exhaustive interrogation and prosecution. A Benue State High Court in Makurdi has awarded 800 million naira against the Nigerian Army and 10 others for the murder of Sixtus Terfa Akore, a senior inspector of taxes with the Benue State Board of Internal Revenue Service. Akore was found dead by the roadside near Upper Ako Estate in North Bank, Makurdi, after being abducted by men of the Nigerian Army on January 15, 2022. A coroner's inquest held on March 19, 2022 found the Nigerian Army culpable in his death. The lawsuit, filed by Desmond Tor Wende on behalf of Akore's family, named the Nigerian Army Council, the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Commanding Officer of 72 Special Forces, the then Adjutant, Captain Osita Obe, and 5 soldiers as defendants. Justice Theresa Shija dismissed the preliminary objection raised by the defendants and ruled in favor of Akore's wife, Catherine Akore. The economic instability, insecurity, high cost of production of farm produce, and delay in rainfall are some of the factors that led to the increase in prices of food items. This was confirmed during a visit to some government offices, farm yards, and some markets in Jalingo, the Taraba state capital. The report.
The Chairman, Vegetable Farmers, and the Vice Chairman, All Farm Association of Nigeria, Taraba State Branch, Salman Hassan, said one of the major reasons behind the high cost of the farm produce is the delay in rainfall, which affected the earlier plantations. He said climate change have resulted in setback to their businesses.
On the dry season, we have a lot of challenges. The challenges we have, if you look at the petroleum, the petrol is too scarce. Many farmers have laid down their hands. They are not in the farm. Then what we're supposed to produce, if we are producing at least 10 tons as of 2-3 years back, this time around with the cost of this hardship, with the cost of fuel and what have you, so only 1 ton or half of a ton will be out, then it will be cost.
The Director, Ministry of Agriculture, Johanna Bulus, said government purchased 800 tractors to support farmers all across the state and also distributed chemicals and fertilizers to the farmers free of charge in order to boost crop yields this season.
Government only empower the farmers to do the production. The government support them through the various inputs that it provides, like fertilizers, seeds, chemicals, tractors, given to the individual farmers.
Some small-scale farmers blame the unfavorable government policies.
So you see us here, we are buying this vegetable. Before, we are buying it 1,500, but now it's 1,800, 2,000 and above. Each one we are selling it now 100 naira. Before we are selling it 50 naira, 350, 300. But now it's 1,000.
We come to market with 4,000 or maybe 5,000. You just buy something, it's only that small leather, you will not even feel inside. So the thing is not like before. Before you come to market with 2,000, you just buy everything you like. But now, even at 10,000, you will not get it.
I bought here and sell it here to customers that are coming to buy at the late hours from the market. A bag of onion this week is 75,000 naira, and the other one brought from Yobe State is 65,000 naira. The cost of farm produce are increasing day by day.
Before we used to buy it at a cheaper rate, but now it's very high. Like before, half quarter is 300, but now 1,000. Sometimes they will be arguing with us.
Farmers were admonished to remain resolute in the face of economic challenges facing their operations.
The economic downturn in the country has significantly impacted the healthcare system, particularly the private hospitals and pharmacies. Private hospital and pharmacy owners in Lagos State expressed their deep concern over the challenges they face, especially regarding patients' ability to pay for their treatments. Victoria Tokolo sends in this report as presented.
The basic necessities of life, food, water, and shelter are increasingly becoming unaffordable for the average person. One of basic necessity is access to affordable health care. Owners of private hospitals and pharmacies in Lagos said the economic situation in the country is severely impacting on their business operations. According to them, the significant challenge they face is high costs of electricity and the continuous increase in the cost of medications.
The rate at which this has increased now, based on medications, injections, and co-consumables, the rate of it now is very alarming. In terms of, you can compare what we are getting 2 years ago to what we are getting now. And with this, we also have to be putting some things into consideration when it comes to service delivery to community people.
What government should do is, number one, to reduce the price of fuel. Because what really affects the price of medication is the transportation. Okay, for example, if you are transporting drugs from maybe Lagos State to maybe Cross River State, for example, so it's very clear that you need to pay money, a huge amount of money for you to move your drugs from this place to Cross River State. So what government should do is to subsidize the price of fuel. If they can subsidize the price of fuel, so it means that our transportation fare will also be reduced.
Everything there for government hand, because if it's now, if you say to go and get this one, if you then get it, use it, then we dey okay. But to on time, now the time for the in private or in public hospital, like in maternity now, if you reach there, then na small thing dem fit do, dem will tell you say I want to refer you. Before you reach that place, time has gone.
Citizens also aired their views on what they think the government should do to help communities access private hospitals, which are more closer and accessible than government-owned primary health care centers.
The government should invest more in producing medication. Not only the government, maybe we don't have production of medication, by conglomerates or other companies. And that shouldn't be the case also. Not only in importing to the country, but also producing, directly from the country.
The government should reduce the price of things. Once everything is down, we can be able to afford private hospitals. Since everything is high, the drugs, the syringe, anything they use to treat us is very, very expensive. By why the government bring everything down for us, we can be able to afford private hospitals.
Health practitioners advise the general public to be mindful of their food and water sources.
Yobe State Governor Maimala Buni has declared that no planned hunger protests will hold across the state by next month. He warned that the protest is a threat to peace the state enjoys. He revealed this at the launching of Agricultural Empowerment Program, where 5,340 farmers were empowered with agriculture machineries and inputs, flagged off by Vice President Kashim Shettima in Damaturu. The governor said the state will not be plunged into another civil unrest after suffering havocs of insurgency in the past decades. President Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, lauded the initiative, saying it will improve food security and increase the farming population of the country.
Today, I assure you, as I've always done, that we are taking drastic measures to address the security challenges to make farmland safe and accessible in every state of the Federation. I am optimistic that in no distant time, the new measures will lead the expected results.
Let me warn in strong terms that government will not tolerate any act of sabotage to frustrate our commitments to make agriculture attractive, profitable, sustainable, and economically viable, and to guarantee food sufficiency and food security in the state. We must not create opportunities for our common enemies to take advantage of any form of protest to send us into another dark and horrible experience. Therefore, Yobe State is categorically saying no to protest and will not participate in any form of protest in whatsoever name.
Meanwhile, youths in Damaturu vandalized billboards shortly after President Bola Tinubu, represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, launched an agricultural empowerment scheme. The launch took place on Saturday, July 20, in the Yobe State capital. No fewer than 50 households were displaced following a windstorm that ravaged the Shagari and Wamako local government areas of Sokoto State. This was disclosed to journalists by the Director, Disaster Management in the Ministry for Social Welfare and Humanitarian Affairs, Umar Isa, at the weekend. According to him, some of the victims completely lost their houses to the disaster. The director noted that they have contacted National Emergency Management Agency over the issue. Isa, however, said there was no report on flooding from anywhere in the state. He stated that the ministry has embarked on vigorous campaigns against flood, especially in areas where the disaster was experienced in the past. And now to the nation's capital, the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to probe cases of electoral violence against Nigerian governors and their deputies during the 2023 general elections. Delivering judgment in the suit filed by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, Justice Obiora Atuego Egwatu also ordered the electoral body to identify suspected perpetrators and their sponsors and ensure their effective prosecution. This was contained in a statement on Sunday by SERAP's Deputy Director, Kolawole Oluwadare. Apart from electoral violence, the court wants INEC to investigate bribery, vote buying, and conspiracy that were believed to have taken place last year. Justice Egwatu also ordered INEC to swiftly prosecute all arrested offenders in the 2023 general elections in the custody of the Nigerian Police Force, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, and other law enforcement agencies. This is a news hour coming to you from Trust Television. Still ahead. Gombe farmers raise alarm over bird and pest attacks on crops. We'll bring you more news when we return. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and it's nice to have you join us again. Let's take another look at some of our top stories. Bandits kill divisional crime officer in Katsina's Dandume local government. Jalingo residents blame economic instability and insecurity for food price hike. Moving on to more stories. In several locations in Nigeria, losses are recorded as pigeons and crows are frequently observed in maize crops. In addition to harming grain, the development is seriously impeding agricultural output and operations. Farmers in Yamaltu, Deba local government area of Gombe State are facing such farm damage and are concerned that this development could exacerbate food inflation. Hassan Koli has more.
The bird, refers to as Kiria in the local dialect, poses a threat to maize during its early stages of development. Typically, the birds will target farms in the early morning or late evening, leaving the maize vulnerable to pest. Abdul Qadir, a farmer, demands the extent of devastation to his corn farmland in Kwadon community on Diamal to the local government area. We used to call this particular bird Kiria. The bird forces a threat to farmland degradation. As you can see, they frequently assault my field and destroy corn that with good cultivation will yield at least 5 bags of grain. When farmers are not around in the early morning or late evening, they attack crops. Since the scarecrow method does not work, we have been using a catapult to scatter them during the day. We are searching for more many ways to safeguard our farmlands. And should this continue, it will undoubtedly exacerbate the inflation of food commodities, something we are not hoping for. Experts say that farmers face this issue every year, but it will be resolved as soon as the appropriate steps are taken at the appropriate moment.
A farmer is expected to employ certain measures. And among these measures are, number 1, we have biological methods. Number 2, we have traditional methods. And number 3, we have the chemical method. An example of biological methods that the farmer can employ in order to prevent economic loss in his farm is the use of tall barrier crops. For instance, a farmer can decide to sacrifice a portion of his farm, especially the 4 axes we have in the farm, maybe by building tall crops like maize, for instance, sorghum, and millet. When these tall crops are planted, they are planted earlier when they're planted, if these killer bats happen to enter the farm, the point of contact, the first point of contact will be these tall barrier crops. So the bats will ascend on these tall barrier crops. They will feed on the tall barrier crops, thereby preventing them from entering into the main farm, causing economic loss.
According to recent reports, quail bats have been seen in Mayoraneo in Arbokola local government area and Nahu Talalinga village in Karimlamid, a local government area of Taraba State. Small grass eaters, as these bats are called, are targeting rice plantations. From Gombe, Hassan Koli, reporting for Trust TV.
Highway cleaners in Lagos State are calling for improved working conditions and remuneration. This call, according to them, follows the rising cost of living that has negatively impacted the purchasing power of Nigerians. Trustee Ajibade Praise tells us more in this report.
During a visit to one of the sites along Ikorodu Expressway, our news crew observed the workers performing their duties amidst heavy traffic flow. The supervisors, who spoke on behalf of their colleagues, expressed dissatisfaction with their current take-home pay, citing the high cost of living and the present economic situation. Our leaders has been trying for us, but then we still hope that they can do more. We hope that they look into the situation of our remuneration and try to give it an upward review, because honestly speaking, what we aim is not helping matters at all.
Highway manager.
But in the markets today, everything is expensive. Even transportation to come to work has been so expensive. But we'd like the government to help us and increase our pay. While emphasizing on the need for an upward review of their remuneration, they recall some of the risks associated with their job and appeal for increased awareness to ensure that they are safe while doing their jobs. Another major problem we face is reckless driving of some drivers. Most of our workers do get hit by oncoming vehicles, and there is urgent need for the government to sensitize drivers to ensure our safety while we do our work. We are doing this job just to ensure that our state is clean, but we don't want to lose our lives while working. Despite the caution sign we put on the road while we are working, some drivers still go ahead to drive roughly and most of the time put our lives in danger. We will be glad if the government can come up with policies to educate some of these drivers so they can be careful whenever they see us on the road doing our job. While acknowledging the state government's efforts to implement policies geared towards entrenching good governance, the workers requested that their welfare be given favorable consideration. Ajibade Awofeso, Trust TV News, Lagos.
Residents of Yola, the Adamawa state capital, have called for the rehabilitation of some major roads across the state. The call, they say, followed the dilapidated state of the roads, which has made commuting a Herculean task. Gibson Swadigo reports from Yola.
The link road from Numa local government of Adamawa to Jalingo, the Taraba state capital, is among the worst federal roads that have become a death trap for motorists plying it. Due to potholes and the general poor condition of the road, trips along the road are prolonged. The contract that was awarded by the federal government in 2016 for the construction of the road is yet to see the light of the day. The story of the federal roads within Adamawa State is similar, especially the roads spanning through Yola to Mubi, Gire, Song, Hong, Fofore, and Gombe, and the link roads between Guyuk Council area to some local governments in southern Borno State.
The road from Yola to Fufore is just badly damaged. You can't just say this is a place that is leading to an LGA. One. That one from Wuro Ardo to Karlahi, that one has no tie road. From that Wuro Ardo to Chigari is just very bad, very bad. From Chigari to Karlahi is just a dead trap.
Similarly, the poor nature of the federal road from Mubi to Michika, Madagali, connecting the Chibok axis of Borno State, recently prompted Governor Fintri to question the determination of the federal government to invest in road constructions or rehabilitation in the state.
If you rely on the federal government, their procurement will take 10 years before they will be here.
Meanwhile, road users have continued asking the federal government to give attention to the roads in order to ease their daily shuttles.
Hanyar gabaki ɗaya riga ya mutu gashi muna fama da matsaloli game da ramuka.
This road is bad, and we are suffering from its bad nature. To drive on these potholes is difficult. One has to be skillful to avoid accidents.
So shine muna neman alfarman gwamnati.
The government should please repair the road.
Muna shan wahala sosai ka game da wannan hanya, din yanda ku zo ku ga magurin gargada idan an yi ruwa magurin ma yafi worse.
What you are seeing is nothing compared to when it rains. If the government intervenes, it will ease our suffering.
Some of the dilapidated roads were said to have been constructed in the First Republic. Gibson Soadgo, Trust TV News, Yola.
Efforts by drug syndicates to smuggle cocaine and loud, a synthetic strain of cannabis, into and out of Nigeria were thwarted by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. The contraband, hidden in items like incense candles, game parks, and women's native wear, was intercepted at Murtala Mohammed International Airport and various courier firms in Lagos, resulting in multiple arrests. On July 18, 2024, businessman Abdulwahab Owolabi was arrested at his Lekki residence after NDLEA and Customs Service intercepted 40 parcels of loud, weighing 20.30 kilograms, concealed in game sets from Canada. An additional drug, paraphernalia, and a black truck were seized from his home and business premises. On July 19, NDLEA operatives intercepted 2 jumbo bags destined for Pakistan at MMIA containing cocaine and loud hidden among dried hibiscus and bitter leaves. Businesswoman Eze Queen Ogechi was arrested, claiming she was sending the consignment on her brother's instruction from South Asia. In Kebbi State, one-legged man, Amadu Garba, was arrested with 67 kilograms of cannabis on July 16. In Abuja, 60-year-old Ademola Elushaki and 34-year-old Nuhu Friday Adamu were arrested on July 15 with 30 kilograms of cannabis traveling from Lagos to Nasarawa State. NDLEA Chairman, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, retired, praised the agency's operational successes nationwide. Let's take a breather now. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching the News Hour tonight on Trust Television. The Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Olayemi Cardoso, has assured Nigerians of better days ahead, just as he declared that the planned stability will make Nigeria hit $1 trillion economy by 2030. Cardoso outlined the CBN's mandate and provided an in-depth analysis of Nigeria's economic performance, recent policy measures, and the outlook for the remainder of the year 2024. Cardoso made the presentation to the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions on Friday in Abuja on 2024 first half-year review of the bank's activities. CBN Governor recounted that since assuming duty in October 2023, the bank's management have concentrated on stabilizing the economy, restoring confidence in financial markets, and establishing a foundation for sustainable growth. According to him, the resilience of the Nigerian economy in the first half of 2024 gave a growth rate of 2.98% in the first quarter, up from 2.31% during the same period last year. He emphasized that the services sector was the main economic driver, contributing 58.04% to GDP with a growth rate of 4.32%. He noted that the industrial sector also showed improvement, achieving a growth rate of 2.19%. We'll take it away from Nigeria now. United States President Joe Biden ended his re-election campaign on Sunday after fellow Democrats lost faith in his mental acuity and ability to beat Donald Trump, leaving the presidential race in uncharted territory. Biden, in a post on X, said he will remain in his role as president and commander-in-chief until his term ends in January 2025 and will address the nation this week. Biden said it is in the best interest of his party and the country for him to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling his duties as president for the remainder of his term. By dropping his re-election bid, he clears the way for Vice President Kamala Harris to run at the top of the ticket, the first black woman to do so in the country's history. Biden, 81, did not mention her when he announced his move. It was unclear whether other senior Democrats would challenge Harris for the party's nomination. Biden's announcement follows a wave of public and private pressure from Democratic lawmakers and party officials to quit the race after his shockingly poor performance in a televised debate last month against Republican rival Donald Trump. We have now joining us in Abuja, Professor Wale Aderami, Director, Democracy and Governance at the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Professor, President Joe Biden just withdrew from the United States presidential race. It's just a few days from the Democratic Party convention. Was this expected?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was almost inevitable that I was going to withdraw because the pressure mounted on him, by the Democratic Congressional Caucus, was immense. And then senior statesmen like ex-President Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and influential members of Congress like Hakeem Jeffries, were all urging him to withdraw in the party and nation's interest. But more than this, the withdrawal from his campaign by large funders, the large donors to his campaign, meant that it was a matter of time before he withdrew. So yes, it was fairly expected.
But I'd like to know, what implications do you think this would have on the United States presidential race?
Well, it's immense, but now nobody could quote, chapters and verses and say this is how it's going to go. It depends also on a lot of, unknowns, at this point. Like you said, it's unsure, unclear whether, when we get to the Democratic National Congress next month, whether there will be candidates opposing Kamala Harris, whom President Biden has endorsed, and who is, as of now, receiving very rave reviews and support. If the party rallies around Kamala Harris, he inherits the Biden-Harris campaign train and delegates. Yes, the Democratic Party will have a good chance. But don't forget that Trump himself said Kamala Harris would be an easier candidate to defeat than Joe Biden. But it's difficult to say, it's going to go this way or that way. At the debate a few weeks ago, somebody said it was a debate between two candidates, L no or O no. Meaning that Joe Biden, oh no, he can't be president. Donald Trump, hell no, he shouldn't be president. So I think Donald Trump himself is damaged property. And there are swing states that he cannot win, so it's still up in the air, and it's too early, to begin to quote chapters and verses and say precisely how the race is going to go. And again, a lot depends on who emerges eventually as the Democratic candidate for the election in November.
Professor, as much as I hear what you're saying, but then some political watchers say it gives Republican candidate Donald Trump an easy run at the presidency. Do you agree?
No, I don't. I don't agree at all, because Donald Trump is, a polemical figure in American politics. There's a constituency that loves him and will die for him. And on the other side, there are candidates who cannot stand, his passion and his, and his values and what he stands for. So it's not a clear-cut, easy victory for him against Kamala Harris. A lot would depend on what happens at the Democratic National Congress, next month, and how the donors respond to this. But so far, it's looking very good, for the Democratic Party. Again, don't forget that the sentencing for Donald Trump is yet to take place for the criminal cases is due. If he gets a custodial sentence, that again may play into how the elections go. So, but I don't think Kamala Harris is necessarily an easier target for him or opponent for him.
Yeah, you have stated that it is looking very good for the Democratic Party. Reports now have it that President Biden has endorsed Kamala Harris to replace him in the race.
Yes.
Is this endorsement likely to confer any advantage on the Democratic Party? Will the party respect his endorsement?
I think the early endorsement of Kamala Harris was deliberate by President Biden. It was to step off opposition, to pave the way for him that, look, I'm solidly behind her, and urging other Democrats to support her at the national, the Democratic Congress. Now, don't forget also that the time to November is not. It's only logical that the party endorses a candidate who has already been in the race, has been on the campaign trail, who automatically, by this endorsement, will also, inherit the Biden delegates to the Congress. So it's saying, clear signal that, look, we don't have time to lose. Let's endorse and let the party rally around Kamala Harris, as the nominated candidate for the Democratic Party. So I think it's good, and the response is so far in the 3 hours that he has withdrawn from the race, has been very, very positive, because donors are now responding. People who have held back, say, although there's also filters that other Democratic candidates who think they'll make a better candidate are also interested in contesting with Kamala Harris. How that plays out in the following days, we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay, and just in case we've passed this, just very quickly, is the U.S. ready for a female president?
Well, that's a good question. If it was just the question of a female president, I'll say, yeah, maybe fairly much so. But a female black president, is a completely different, entity altogether. But running against Trump, which is very polemical and divisive, I think there's a chance there if the Democratic Party gets its acts right. I think Kamala Harris, can beat Donald Trump in the national election.
Thank you so much for your thoughts and insights. There we had Professor Wale Aderami, Director, Democracy and Governance at the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, speaking to us about the withdrawal of United States President Joe Biden from the presidential race. Thank you so much for your time on the News Hour tonight. And with that, we've come to the end of the News Hour on Trust Television. Do not forget, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs and documentary. I'm Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.